Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the A-Side. I am your host, Riley, and I'm feeling extremely inspired tonight. It is the fourth video I have recorded in one night, another reaction, and a brand new series I want to start called Gen Z Reacts to Classic Rock. Pretty much what the series is going to be is there's just a lot of classic rock albums that I've never heard. People talk about a lot. Of course, me only being 18, I am Gen Z. I turned 18 a couple of weeks ago on June 5th. And there's a lot of classic stuff I just haven't heard. So that's going to be the concept of this series, is I'm just going to be listening to classic rock. And I, personally, am not going to be going by the standard definition of classic rock 20 years or older, because I'm mostly an alt-rock guy. So I'm going to be considering anything classic rock before Smells Like Teen Spirit. So, and Nevermind. So any album pretty much before 1991, with a couple of exceptions, like Spaghetti Incident and stuff like that, like legacy classic rock bands that have released albums after that Smells Like Teen Spirit bookmark. I was originally going to start with Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, but decided instead to start with Van Halen's 1984, because Van Halen is one of my dad's favorite bands. If not my father's favorite band, actually. Definitely his favorite band from his childhood. He talks about them all the time, and he always tells me this is their best album. So I'm going to be reacting to it. So that seemed to be just a little opening interlude, 1994. I'm going to give that the black GameCube controller. It's nothing super special. I'm not going to count it against the score or anything. The electronics sounded good. It was just an opening interlude. Anyway, let's get on to the next track, Jump, which is a song I've actually heard before, so it's not really a real first reaction. I've heard the song hundreds of times, but it's so 80s, but it's definitely very iconic. This has got to be like one of the defining rock songs of the 80s, right? Like, definitely. But I mean, it's very 80s. I know pretty much the reason it is so 80s and sounds like this is because it's like the song that established these trends going forward. It's definitely a very good song. And the 80s synthesizers, while maybe being a little cheesy, sound great. I'm not gonna lie. Not really much of a first reaction, but you know. Cool melodies there. I mean, how can you hate this song? It's so fun and iconic at this point. You know, over what, 30, 40 years later? I'm not gonna do that math in my head. Almost 40 years in 2 years, so. I mean, that keyboard riff, it's so iconic at this point. And of course, rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest guitarists of all time, right? Even without hearing a lot of Van Halen music, I know, just from pure influence and reputation alone, that he's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Okay, but this sounds like the fucking Transformers movie soundtrack. Right? Am I the only one that thinks this, like, the 1986 animated Transformers movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, but like the "You got the touch" sounds just like this. Like, this, like, little keyboard, like, bridge here is fucking in that movie somewhere. Like, I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it's making me nostalgic. I love this song, I'm not even gonna lie. It's so iconic, and it's a song I've heard so many times in my life. It's just so much fun. And, like, this keyboard line right here is iconic. It's instantly recognizable as Van Halen. You know? There's not much I can say. Can't beat a dead horse. Everyone fucking loves this song. If you don't like this song, you probably don't have a soul. The drums are pretty cool, too. Yeah. That was Jump by Van Halen. The song everyone knows. I mean, come on. Come on. It's Jump. It's one of the most iconic songs of the 80s. Not even necessarily my side of the 80s. I like a lot of the more post-punk and goth and new wave from the 80s. But that was good. That's a great, iconic song, and you can't even knock it, man. If you don't like the song, you're just being a fucking contrarian. It's so good. It is. It's just a classic. It's so iconic. It's so much fun. It's a great song in every way. The synths, while being so majorly 80s, sound just still so good to this day. And maybe it sounds so 80s and so cheesy, but it's definitely because it's what established all those trends. This is the trendsetter for that decade. Van Halen was the trendsetter of 80s rock, and the reason so much 80s rock has this vibe and has those synths and the same, like, little breakdowns and the verses and stuff with the synths, it all sounds like that because of this song. At least to my knowledge. But yeah, anyway, let's get into this next track, Panama. Panama. With the canal. Alright. Definitely already rocking a little more. Cut back on the synths. You can tell that was like the big pop single, because now we're a little heavier here. It's definitely fucking cheesy 80s hair metal for sure, but it's so charming. It really is. It's the good side of hair metal, the early stuff. Like, you just can't help but bop your head along and enjoy it. It's not life-changing amazing music, it's not like fucking Radiohead, but it's good, it's enjoyable, it's fun. Have fun every once in a while. David Lee Roth not impressing me as a vocalist. I'm sorry. My dad's gonna kill me for saying that. But Eddie Van Halen's guitar is killing it right now. He really has one of the greatest guitarists of all time, I think. Yeah, I'm not caring for the vocal thing here. The group vocal, Panama, is like not what I like about hair metal. Like, it's what turns me off from hair metal. Dumb lyrics and stupid, cheesy hooks, and like not a good vocalist, like trying too hard to be like manly and cool. But on the instrumentation side of things, holy shit, Eddie Van Halen's kicking ass on guitar, and the drums here are great. And I like this little like high register on the guitar. This guitar solo is great, and it starts off hype, and now it's going to this like more like emotional, kind of darker pass right here. I think this sounds, ooh, that was cool. The bum 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 ba da dum, like the little arpeggio. The guitar work on this is so fucking good, like actually so impressive. That's dumb though. The fucking motor of like a race car. It's like the toxic masculinity of hair metal. I don't like. I feel like a lot of like 80s music is kind of like that, and a lot of the culture of like hair metal and stuff is very like toxic, oozing like manly man masculinity. And I think David Lee Roth as a vocalist in this track is really bringing that across for me. I'm just not vibing with the oh no, I just knocked my neck down. I'm not vibing with the vocals or lyricism per se, but the guitar work is excellent, enough for me to say the song's good. Yeah, so I'm gonna also give that the green folder. The guitar work in that song was fucking amazing, and the drums did a pretty good job too. I'm not hearing much of the bass. I haven't picked up too much on bass. I don't like David Lee Roth as vocalist thus far. He sounded fine on Jump, but I didn't like him on Panama. I didn't like the group song vocals. There in the chorus of the Panama. Lyrically, the song did nothing for me, and I didn't like when it brought in like the motor of a car. That's just not my vibe for music, but you know, people enjoy it. Anyway, let's just move on to the next track, Top Jimmy. I'm just expecting some great guitar work throughout the entirety of the album. Here it is, right here. It sounds so good. He really is one hell of a guitarist. I mean, rest in peace, man. Alright, there's some bass. That's cool. That's really cool, actually. I love what they're going for right there. That little, like, quiet noise. Yeah, I'm not gonna really get into David Lee Roth as a vocalist, which sucks because everything else going on here is really good. But the vocals is what's ruining this for me. I don't like hair metal, I'll be honest. I love everything but the vocals here. They're just not my cup of tea. It's not my thing. But as someone who loves music, I think Eddie Van Halen's one of the best guitarists of all time. Just from hearing these 3 tracks already, he really is. And the musicianship behind this band is so good. But I don't vibe with David Lee Roth's vocals. They're not the worst vocals. He's not, like, awful. He's not, like, late era Maroon 5 vocals bad, but it's not. It's not for me. Another fucking sick guitar solo from Eddie Van Halen here. Killing it. Killing it! Very good. So there's the lyricism, picking up ladies and shit. It's so vapid. Hair metal lyricism is not for me. At all. And that's just a personal preference. I don't like what they're going for lyrically. And I know that was like all the rage in the 80s. That's what a lot of the popular stuff was written about in the rock scene. And hair metal was kind of like that, but that's not for me. I'm a new wave guy myself when it comes to 80s. I like The Cure and New Order and Talking Heads and the Smiths, especially the Smiths. I mean, the Smiths are like the antithesis of what Van Halen is. Van Halen's a band to have fun with. The Smiths are like sardonic and depressed and, you know. One is the birth of the indie and the underground scene, and one is the definition of what the 80s were, commercially speaking. Great, great riff here. This is Drop Dead Legs. Oh, I gotta give Top Jimmy a score. I'll give that the green once again. I'm not fucking with David Lee Roth's vocals. Everything else is amazing. The guitar riffs, the little, like, more quieter parts of the guitar at the beginning, whatever they were doing there was really cool. I'm just straight vibing with a lot of this. I still, David Lee Roth has not won me over, and I don't think he will in the second half of this album, but, you know, guitar work is really good here. This riff is sick. I think we should replace David Lee Roth with Rivers Cuomo. I think that would work a little better. Yeah, I'm enjoying this, but the vocals here and the lyricism and stuff is enough for me to not come back to it. But once again, all I can say is it's just not for me. And I don't want to sound repetitive the whole time, but... It's almost 1 AM when I'm recording this. I find myself enjoying this album most at the instrumental passages. I know it's not like a broken record. I mean, it doesn't give me much to say. It's not necessarily the deepest music on earth, the most experimental, or even necessarily the most creative. Honestly, Eddie Van Halen's talent on the guitar is just completely carrying this album in every aspect. But it's doing a pretty fucking good job of it. Yeah, like I said, not necessarily my style of the music. I am an alternative guy. I don't fuck with a lot of hair metal or the mainstream stuff from like the 80s and stuff, but and this is pretty good. It is definitely the highest caliber of hair metal and 80s kind of like hard rock and metal, mostly because of the talent of Eddie Van Halen. Like I said, I don't fuck with David Lee Roth that much, but Eddie Van Halen is just a fucking amazing guitarist, and like it's putting it above other bands like AC/DC and stuff for me. The other bands like my dad talks about, like I never liked AC/DC. I'll be completely transparent. I never liked that band. But Van Halen's cool. I'll give Drop Dead Legs green. I'm not gonna really change up what I said because it's everything else I've said about all of these songs. Hot for Teacher. My dad talks about this song all the time. He loves this song, so it'll be wholesome to hear it. And I mean, the title of this, Hot for Teacher, come on, it's everything I don't like about hair metal, right? It's, you know, the toxic masculinity, the trying to pick up girls and chasing tail and all that. Woo! Party, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Not my cup of tea, but I think they're executing it well, at least on the musical side of things, because there's such a talented guitarist at the front of this band. I'm losing my voice a little bit, if you can't tell. It's the 4th video I recorded tonight. Okay, some more drums here. Oh, the drums are supposed to sound like a car or something, or like a motorcycle, aren't they? That's interesting. Dumb, but interesting, if you know what I mean. Drum solo. Alright. Oh, shit. Shit. That's fucking awesome. That's sick. That's gotta be one of the most sick openings I've ever fucking heard. Yeah. I mean, I'm wearing a Van Weezer shirt, actually, funny enough. The Weezer album that was inspired by Van Halen as to be like the cheesy hair metal. Wow, that is heavy. That was for the 80s. The drumming is especially good on this song too, like better than it has been on the other tracks. Once again, really dumb in the lyrics department, but that's hair metal for you. I mean, the other 80s thing that I listened to today was fucking Kraftwerk, so my taste is I'm going from one side of the extreme with these videos. I'm doing Van Halen in this video, but a couple hours ago I was making a video about Kraftwerk. I do think David Lee Roth's vocals actually sound a little better on this song too. So yeah, not awful at all. Oh, and the guitar. Oh my god. I gotta learn how to play this instrument sooner or later. Wow. Wow. That was some good shit. It's not done yet. The energy of that song was just infectious and amazing. It was so energetic and get you so hyped. It was so much fun to listen to. Maybe the most fun I've had on this album. And saying a lot sounds pretty fun. And that's the best word I can think of when I think of what I've heard so far. It's just fun. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. A lot of it's dumb, lyrically. And I can't get into it. But it's just so much fun to listen to and just bop around to. I mean, like, I think that's my dad now. And, I mean, you know, that's all it is. And I'm going to give that song the green folder. I mean, I just fuck with it. It's good. Let's finish this bad boy, eh? 3 more tracks to go. Next track, I'll wait. But I still want my mic to pick it up. Okay, back to the more synth-heavy sound of Jump from earlier. Building up towards something, hopefully. There's some drums. Good drums. This is definitely a product of its times, but once again, I feel like this is more so what set the trend for its times, rather than being a product of it. I feel like, while this isn't something I would typically enjoy, it's so much fun and you just can't hate it. It's not you just cannot hate. Because you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to think about it. You just enjoy it. You enjoy it for what it is. That's some fun rock. That's all. It's party rock. Party rockers in the house tonight. And we're just having a good time. Ooh, I like the big chorus there. That sounded really good. With the, like, singular synthesizer note. Cool stuff. Okay, a little breakdown. Now, guitar solo, right? Or a synth solo. The drums sound so good on this song. I think this one is definitely written to show off the drummer's capabilities here. Because a lot of the albums have been pretty simple drumming, admittedly. There's a guitar solo. But here there's some more like fills and stuff, and I feel like this is more of a drummer song. I like how the synths are very space agey on this song. They feel a lot less 80s and more space agey. Almost something Floydish. Floydian, if you will. Oh, that's smart. Instead of Freudian, Floydian, when something is inspired by Pink Floyd and music. I'm coining that. I'm going to use that term. Floydian. And it fades out, as most heavy songs do. That's just how they ended songs back in the day. Just faded out gradually. That was all wait. I'm going to give that the green, too. Just once again, the drumming was great on this song. I think this song was written specifically to, like, show off the drummer's capabilities here. I think it worked. There are a lot of fills and some cool drum parts. Cool guitar solo, as every song in the album had a cool guitar solo. But I liked how space agey the synths sounded on here. Whereas if you go back to Jump, the synths sound very 80s mainstream, like what you hear in every other 80s song. But on this song, it sounded a little more space agey, a little more science fiction-y, and I thought that was cool. Anyway, next track, Girl Gone Bad. Penultimate track. We're almost done. Short album. This video will probably be shorter than the album itself. The pace is pretty fast on this one, isn't it? I like the little, like, high register guitars, too, because I know the distortion's going to kick in a second. It's going to be very, satisfying. Maybe not, or at least heavier parts. Like the drums. I mean, this album obviously is one of the biggest trendsetters of the 80s if you listen to it. Because it's early 80s, and this is like, everything I'd associate with like 80s music is this fucking album. But it's fun, it's done well. Whereas I feel like a lot of 80s albums, like, 80s music is very shitty, and vapid, and corny, and cheesy, and over the top. This album is really good, and there's quality musicianship here. Mostly because Eddie Van Halen is an amazing guitarist. My dog is breathing so hard that she's moving my notes from the Neo Theater review earlier. Which, check out if you haven't. I was proud of that video. The chord progression here is something that sounds like it'd be right out of an 80s song. And because it is right out of an 80s song, but, like, you can tell it obviously influenced every big mainstream hit that came afterward in the hard rock scene. Like your Bon Jovis or Journeys, you know? And like I said, I'm more personally a fan of like the alternative stuff from the 80s. Two of my favorite bands of all time, The Cure and The Smiths, you know? Definitely I'm the other side of the 80s, The Cure, The Smiths, New Order, Talking Heads, My Bloody Valentine, Joy Division, that side of things. But I am enjoying this for what it is. Even if it's not my main genre of music, it's still really fucking enjoyable. It's just really fun. Here's a breakdown. Blech. That's way later in metal's history. They'll get there in a couple years. 20 or so years. We'll get to the blech era. So that was the track A Girl Gone Bad, the penultimate track. Once again, just everything I've said about this album, just regurgitated at the end. It's pretty formulaic. A lot of these songs are pretty much the same. But they're all fun, they're all enjoyable, none of them overstay their welcome. It's 33 minutes and 9 songs. It's the green. Come on, green. That's the point. You know, it's supposed to be quick, painless, fun, party rock. You listen to it with your friends. Anyway, final track, House of Pain. Let's do this. Same shit, different song. Still cool, though. Some different drums here. Or not drums, but percussion. And that was House of Pain. Once again, I don't have shit to say about it because it's just like every other track, but still enjoyable. So I'm going to give that the green. And that's it for 1984 by Van Halen. I hope you enjoyed this first episode. Well, first I'm going to give final thoughts, right? This album isn't necessarily my style of music. I'm not a very big fan of hair metal. I find a lot of it dumb and vapid and overblown. I don't like a lot of the toxic masculinity of the mainstream 80s music. How it's all about girls and having sex and, you know, drugs and rock and roll. But here it's done to such a high caliber because they're the ones who set all these trends. It might sound cheesy in retrospect if you don't know your music history, but if you know the fact that Van Halen is one of the most influential groups of the 80s, at least in the mainstream, and within that decade, you know that this is the album that set the trends. Jump was such a huge song that everyone wanted to do it afterward, and it's an amazing song. That and Hot for Teacher are both really fucking good. It's just an album to have a lot of fun with. And it's not something I'm going to come back to a lot because it's not my style. I don't care for a lot of hair metal. I don't care for the hair metal vocals or themes all that much. But it's still an album done so well. And even Halen's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. He absolutely fucking carries this album. The guitar on this album is amazing. But the rest of the album is still enjoyable. Just not necessarily my thing. Really good though. A lot of fun. It's just an album to have fun to. I'm going to give it a 6+, personally, which is a very positive score. 6 is positive, 6+ is just because it's a good album. The guitar is amazing, but it's not necessarily my thing, and not something I would often come back to. But I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Gen Z Reacts to Classic Rock, 1984 by Van Halen. I enjoyed this album. It was good, and I'm excited to do more. Keep your eyes out for bands like Guns N' Roses, Led Zeppelin, maybe some of the Floyd stuff I haven't heard, although I don't know how good the reactions to that would be. And if you have any suggestions for this series of these great classic rock albums to come out before Nirvana's Nevermind, or from one of these legacy bands that I had just mentioned, let me know. Let me know what you want to see. Leave a like if you want more Van Halen, and subscribe if you enjoyed. It's free. You can always unsubscribe if you want. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.